Selenium interview questions part 2. In this video, I am going to explain interview questions on Selenium test process. First question, what are the phases in software test process? Manual test process. Software test phases may vary from one company to another and one project to another. As per industry standards, there are 4 important phases in software test process or software test life cycle. They are test planning, test design, test execution, and test closure. Next, what are the phases in Selenium test process? Test planning, generating basic test cases, enhancing test cases, running and debugging test cases, analyzing test results, and reporting defects. See, generating basic test cases, enhancing test cases. Difference between these two phases. What is the difference between these two phases? Generating basic test means creating plain navigation. Enhancing test cases means inserting verification points, adding comments, parameterization, synchronization with respect to requirements. Next, what are the important tasks in test planning phase of Selenium test process? What are the important tasks in test planning phase of Selenium test process? First one, get AUT. AUT stands for application under test. Get AUT environment details, user interface design, and database details from development team. Get application environment details from development team. Next, analyze the AUT in terms of UI elements identification. User interface elements. Elements means objects. Next, select test cases for automation. Next, select testing framework, either JUnit or TestNG, and configure. Next, configure defect reporting environment. These are the important tasks in test planning phase of Selenium test process. Get AUT environment details, analyze the AUT in terms of UI elements identification, select test cases for automation, select testing framework and configure. Next, configure defect reporting environment. Next question, how to create test cases using Selenium IDE tool. We already discussed in first part. Selenium is not a single tool, set of tools, or you can say suite of tools. Selenium IDE is one of the tool in Selenium suite. How to create test cases using Selenium IDE tool. How to create test cases using Selenium IDE tool. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Using recording feature, we can create test cases in Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE has record and playback features. Using recording feature, we can create and We can create test cases. Otherwise, using element locators and Selenium commands, or you can say Selenium IDE commands. Using element locators and Selenium commands, we can type test steps instead of recording. Next, how to create test cases using Selenium WebDriver tool. Another tool and important tool in Selenium suite. How to create test cases using Selenium WebDriver. Important one. Using element locators, elements means objects. For example, button, link, edit box, checkbox, radio button, etc. Using element locators and WebDriver methods, we can create test cases in Selenium WebDriver. Element locators for identifying the elements, element locators for recognizing or identifying the elements, WebDriver methods for performing operations on elements, identifying and performing operations. Next, how to inspect elements or objects in Selenium. How to inspect elements or objects. If it is Mozilla Firefox browser, using Firebug and FirePath plugins, we can inspect elements. We have to download and install Firebug and FirePath plugins. If it is Mozilla Firefox browser, using Firebug and FirePath plugins, we can inspect elements. Suppose Internet Explorer or Google Chrome browsers, using built-in developer tools, we can inspect elements. For Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, you no need to install any plugins. They have built-in developer tools, shortcut key F12. Using built-in developer tools, we can inspect elements. Next question, how to enhance Selenium IDE test cases. How to enhance Selenium IDE test cases. We already discussed it. Enhancing test cases means inserting verification points, adding comments, parameterization, synchronization, etc. With respect to requirements. Using Selenium verification commands, we can insert verification points and we can add comments. Next, how to enhance Selenium WebDriver test cases. How to enhance Selenium WebDriver test cases. By inserting verification points, adding comments, exception handling, synchronization, parameterization, and using functions. Functions means reusable components, built-in functions and user-defined functions. We can enhance test cases. Using Java or any other supported programming language features, we can enhance WebDriver test cases. Using JUnit or TestNG annotations also, we can enhance WebDriver test cases. Next, how to conduct batch testing. Batch testing, executing series of test cases. In Selenium IDE, we can create test suites and execute test suites. It has options. In Selenium IDE tool, we can create test suites and execute test suites. Using either JUnit or TestNG testing framework, we can conduct batch testing in Selenium WebDriver. See, if it is Selenium WebDriver, with the help of JUnit or TestNG testing framework, we can conduct batch testing. Next, how to debug test cases. Debugging means locating and isolating errors through step-by-step execution. Locating and isolating errors through step-by-step execution. Debugging is optional in test automation. Why? See, for each and every test case, debugging is not required. Debugging test cases is optional task in Selenium test process. Whenever test case is not showing any errors and not providing correct output, then debugging is required. Next, how to report defects in Selenium. There is no defect tracking tool integrated with Selenium. After analyzing the test results, then report defects using your company defect management system. Selenium is not responsible for defect reporting. Tester means user has to report defects. Next, how to select test cases for automation. How to select test cases for automation. Say, no restrictions for selecting test cases. Generally, we select three categories of test cases for automation. First one, tests that we have to execute on every build. Sanity tests. Tests that we have to execute on every build. Sanity tests. Every time execution, if it is manual testing, time taking process. Once you automate, you can execute multiple times easily. Next category, tests that we have to execute on every modified build. Regression tests. Next, third one, tests that we have to execute using multiple sets of test data. Data driven tests. Next question, how to conduct cross-browser testing. See, Selenium supports cross-browser testing, but not all tools. Selenium IDE doesn't support cross-browser testing. Selenium WebDriver supports cross-browser testing. Use browser drivers to conduct cross-browser testing. For Mozilla Firefox, we no need to download browser driver. For Internet Explorer and Google Chrome, we have to download browser driver and set path. Next, how to conduct parallel testing. How to conduct parallel testing. Using Selenium Grid, we can conduct parallel test execution. Next, how to conduct data-driven testing. Using text file or Excel file, as resource as test data file. Resource means test data file in this scenario. Using text file or Excel file as resource. Resource means test data file. We can conduct data driven testing. If we use Java with Selenium WebDriver, Java supports text files. If you want to work with Excel files, you can add third party Excel jar files and communicate with Excel files. Next, using testng data provider annotation also, we can conduct data driven testing.